In the previous video, I mentioned how important keywords are for your YouTube SEO strategy. And what I find a lot of beginners in regards to creators on YouTube, as well as beginner YouTube SEO experts, which you'll soon be, is that they find keywords to be very complicated or maybe even feel like it's an outdated strategy. And that could not be further from the truth. Keywords are much more simple and maybe even more powerful than you currently think. And I'll explain why in this lecture. And later, I will share specific tools and ways to quickly, easily, and for free find these powerful keywords. Okay, so first thing that I want you to kind of think about is that when you hear the word keywords, hear the word thoughts, right? Keywords are thoughts. And now think about it, literally. So let's say that you're thinking about funny cat videos. Oh, I'd really like to see a funny cat video. Or I'd really like to learn more about how to create beautiful presentations or video editing or whatever it might be. Then what do? I go to YouTube and I turn that thought that I have in my head into a keyword that I type into the search engine to ultimately find content that helps solve my need or solve my problem. Okay. So when you hear keywords, just think about thoughts. That's kind of a way of kind of demystifying a little bit. So that's number one. Number two is that your keywords will drive your content, right? Or your keywords should drive content for this strategy and for the best strategy of going viral, getting visibility, monetizing, all that good stuff. Keywords are going to drive your content. So you can screenshot this image if you like, just as a visual reminder. And specifically, okay, keywords are powerful. We know keywords are important. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later, but not all keywords or not all thoughts are created equal, okay? So what you really also need to think about keywords, this is kind of the last very, very important point, is whenever you're looking at a keyword, okay, if keywords are driving content and we're going to be using keywords a lot, we need a very specific type, okay? So keywords have there's two kind of big variables to focus on. One is search volume. The second is level of competition. Now, what do I mean by that? So number one, as you can see here on the x-axis, search volume means, how often is this keyword typed into YouTube every single month, okay? So obviously, the more that it's typed in, the more search volume it has. The less it's typed in, the less search volume. What do I mean by competition? Competition means, okay, when I search for a certain keyword on YouTube, how many videos show up? How many relevant videos appear for that keyword? So let's say I type in, how to braid my hair, right? How to braid my hair like a Viking. I'm just making that up. And let's say for some reason, it has very high search volume. There's a lot of interest in this, but I go to YouTube and there's no options. Oh, there's no options, but there's a lot of search volume. That's a good sign, right? Where on the alternative, that means, low competition. On the other end, let's say you type in, how to, 5 tips for hair braiding, and you can go to YouTube right now and search for it. I can guarantee you'll see pages and pages of video after video after video that specifically relate to that topic. Maybe, high quality, very long, in-depth videos, all of that. So that's what I mean by competition, is the number of videos that show up when you type in a certain keyword. So you have volume, competition. With those two things in mind, what type of keywords do we want to identify? And should be pretty obvious, so I'll move pretty quick. So number one, what do we want to avoid? High volume, but high competition. This is the biggest mistake I see, or I should say one of the biggest mistakes I see new YouTube creators making. They see a keyword, they're doing research, and they find this keyword, let's say, whatever it might be. They make a video about it, and they're like, oh, I'm not getting any visibility. Well, that's because there's so much competition associated with that keyword. So it's great that there's a lot of volume for a certain keyword, but you want to make sure, also, how likely basically is it for me to get visibility for that keyword? Okay, that's something else to keep in mind. I'll show you how to do that later, but just so you can kind of visualize and have this in mind and understand why I'm going to show you what I show you next. So that's number one, we want to avoid high volume and high competition, because the more competition, the more difficult it's going to be for us to get visibility. Number two that we want to avoid is, you might think, okay, Sumner, I'm going to avoid high competition keywords, and I'm going to go for low competition. That's good. However, are there not a lot of videos because there's not a lot of competition, or because there's just not a lot of search interest, or there's not a lot of search volume? Okay. So just because a keyword doesn't have a lot of competitors also doesn't mean it's a good keyword. Okay. That's another trap that I see a lot of kind of newer YouTube creators getting into, is they're like, oh, there's not a lot of competition for this keyword, so I'm going to make a video about it. Do people actually want a video about this? Yes or no? And they're like, oh, I don't really know. Aha, I'm going to help you find that out. So low competition, low volume, stay away from those. Lastly, of course, if you find a keyword that has high competition and low search volume, like no one's searching for this keyword and there's a ton of competition, it would make no sense in either way to, so it's kind of, dumb, dumb and dumber reference here to do that. I'm gonna make sure that you're not dumb, very, very smart, which you are. And I'm gonna show you the right strategies to avoid all of that. And in the end, what is our goal? Of course, pretty obvious. We're trying to identify high volume, low competition keywords. Now, the point that a lot of people kind of stop and don't mention is that a lot of these keywords are long tail keywords. These type of keywords, these high volume, low competition, or relatively high volume, relatively low competition keywords are known as, in general, going to be long tail keywords. What do I mean by that? What the heck is long tail keyword? Okay, last point of this lecture, and hopefully you're finding some value, taking notes. So this applies to YouTube SEO, Google SEO, and pretty much SEO everywhere right now, anything relating to keywords. There are three main type of keywords that you need to keep in mind. And those are short tail, mid tail keywords, and long tail keywords. What does that mean? So first, when I refer to keywords, and when many people refer to keywords kind of in the industry, they're not referring to a specific word necessarily. It could be actually several words, or really kind of more a key phrase is the technical terminology. But unfortunately, it's kind of interchangeable, right? So when I refer to a keyword, it could be either one word, it could be 2, 3, 4, 5 words. So that's what I mean when I say keyword. It could be one or more words for that keyword, okay? And then number 2, there are short, mid tail, and then long tail, okay? So what do I mean by that? Short tail keywords are literally shorter keywords, okay? They're either 1 or 2 words long. And with these keywords, they tend to have very high search volume. For example, tomato plant, right? The word tomato plant, or those 2 words, have very high search volume on YouTube, right? There's a lot of people searching for content around tomato plant or for that specific term as well. However, there's also usually the shorter a keyword is, the more competition there is for that keyword. Okay, so these are keywords you want to avoid. These would fall into kind of that, that Rocky Balboa with the boxing glove, the high volume, high competition category. Okay, so again, we want to avoid those usually shorter tail keywords. Next, we have mid tail. So mid tail in this example is when to plant tomatoes. These are either 3 or 4 keywords long, usually, especially when it comes to YouTube. This is different for Google than YouTube, but usually for YouTube, around 3 or 4 keywords long. This is a little bit less competitive, a little bit, still fairly high search volume, but a little bit less competitive, but can still be fairly competitive. So in this case, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And again, I'm going to show you if a keyword works or if it doesn't, kind of how to identify those keywords. But you're getting a little bit better in the space. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Okay, that's mid tail, 3 or 4 words long that make up that keyword. And then lastly, you see here, why are my tomato plants turning yellow? This is what I want you to ultimately focus on, especially if you're a brand new channel. If you're a brand new channel, this is what you should absolutely be focusing on. This is what I built my channels on. I've helped clients build their channels on and have had measurable and great success with, and super excited, to share this with you that so many people are not talking about, and it blows my mind. It's like honestly crazy to me. And that's why I felt the need to create this course. So imagine, why are my tomato plants turning yellow? 390 monthly searches. Guess what? A lot of other YouTube creators, they haven't taken this course. They don't know about the strategy, so they just ignore that keyword. They're like, it's not a lot of search volume, so I'm not going to create content around this keyword. Okay, I'm just going to kind of ignore it. Let's say, there's 390 monthly searches. That's great. You go to youtube.com, type in, why are my tomato plants turning yellow? And let's say there are 0 videos, or even maybe there's a couple of videos, but they're like really, really bad, really terrible quality, really short. And you as a gardening expert, and let's say, obviously you have a gardening YouTube channel, you say, wait, I could create a much better video, easy, and there's so much missing information. Oh my gosh, you make the best video and there's not a lot of competition. Well, guess what? You're going to capture the majority of those monthly searches on YouTube. People are going to search, they're going to find your video, watch, and guess what? Oh my gosh, this is a great video. I'm going to like and subscribe for other content. So you're going to start off small with these, what are called longer tail keywords, these less competitive keywords. They may not, and number one, you can still go viral with these keywords, and that's a whole other discussion. I'll talk about that later. So it doesn't limit your ability to go viral. You absolutely still can, depending on what the keyword is, of course, obviously, and other factors. But you start here, create a video around this specific topic, around this specific keyword, get likes, get subscribers, monetize, all that good stuff, then move on to the next long tail. And it's like a brick on top of a brick on top of a brick. And guess what? The more bricks that you have, the stronger your channel is going to be. The more subscribers, the more likes, the more views, the more trust you build with the YouTube algorithm. And guess what happens? Then you can start moving and creating content around more mid-tail keywords, more competitive keywords, because you're becoming more competitive. And as that happens, then you can start creating, a lot of different kinds of videos and not have to just focus on keywords. And then at that point, when you get a much larger, much more competitive, much bigger reach, hopefully in the very, very near future, then you can begin, maybe optimizing for conversions versus keywords, although keywords are always going to be a strong strategy. And again, if you're confused by that, don't worry. We're going to talk all about that in more detail. This is just the overview. So I hope you understood this. Keywords are thoughts. The type of keywords you're trying to find high demand or high volume, relatively low competition keywords. And the majority of the time, those keywords are going to be long tail keywords. So that's kind of the overview about keywords. I hope that kind of demystifies certain things. And I will show you how to find these keywords in the content optimization module. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the next video.